Probably the simplest, most difficult, most complicated, most controversial, most important concept in all of both spirituality and I'd probably say reality is God. Sometimes it doesn't feel right to even talk about God. You know, who are we to talk about God? Who am I to talk about God, if I'm being more honest and more vulnerable? So I guess in a moment like that, you ask God to talk through you. And we could say that the reality of God is the most important phenomenon, the most important expression for humanity and for our survival. So in Judaism, there's a story about a man named Abraham who had a revelation that there was a creator of the universe that cared about the universe and particularly cared about man, each and every individual, humans. And imagine being Abraham and having that revelation and that truth. Imagine having the experience of God in a time where people didn't think about God in that way. People thought about local gods, you know, the God of the wind and the God of this and the God of that, not about a creator of the universe that cared about people. And imagine, you know, you had kids, brothers, sisters, friends, and you knew this was true for, you know, truer than anything you ever knew. And imagine how important it would be for you to want to transmit that to your community, to your kids. Like, hey, you just got to know, like, there's God. And so when we think about it that way, to me, it becomes very obvious how religion started. You know, like, how do I encode this and make sure my kids know and that their kids know? I'm going to write a song about it, or let me write a story about it, or let me write a prayer, or let me make sure I write it down. Let me create a dance. Let me, you know, I got to make sure that we all know that we're here for a reason and that we're cared about, and that it's also our job to care about each other. Martin Buber, who's a famous philosopher and thinker, Jewish thinker, he's been passed away a long time ago. In his book, Eclipse of God, he talks about the importance of not abandoning the word God. He doesn't talk about whether God exists or not, because he's probably too smart to talk about whether God exists, unlike me. But he says, you know, we must not abandon the word because you can't find a word like it. You know, he says, in the inner treasure chamber of the smartest philosophers, with the most crystalline, pure, pristine, diamond shining ideas, you will never find a word like God. You know, a word that's been consecrated, you know, on many tongues for all time. A word that, you know, represents people dying and people living and people's worst moments and people's best moments, that's been in the mouths of man since the beginning of the beginning. And he said, so where could you find a word like that? And I think he's smart. He doesn't talk about God. He talks about the word because the word points at the reality. You know, it's like soul. Like, some people don't think they have a soul. You know, like, that's weird to me, you know. I'm like, really? You don't think you have a soul? Because I can feel your soul, because it's you, you know. And you don't think the world has a soul? And what about the cosmos? And what about the universe? You think just us that has soul? You can't see the soul in your pet dog? You think your pet dog has a soul and you have a soul, but the world doesn't have a soul? That we all don't have a shared soul that we call God, that cares, that's deep, that's transformative, that loves, that knows that order will conquer chaos, that love will conquer evil, you know, and that this whole drama that we all live in is actually about something. You don't think so? You know? So that's Hashem, which in Hebrew it translates, Ha just means the, and Shem means name. So that there is no name, it's just the name. Yeah.